he'd buy plane tickets for him and the girl to go to Saint-Tropez, right? And then he'd do that to build comfort, sleep with the girl, and then cancel the tickets the next day. From a man's standpoint, I got bad news for the ladies out there. Women, a lot of times when after they go through puberty or near puberty, you ask them what do they want to be, and they'll say fairy princess or a bride or something to the effect of like, I can't wait to get married and something like that. Men don't do that. We don't grow up. We say when we grow up, we say we want to be an astronaut. We want to be a fucking doctor. We want to be a firefighter. We want to be a superhero. We don't say I want to be a groom. That is not something boys grow up to be.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
For us, marriage is something that allows us security, but the wedding is not for the man.
Yeah.
It's for the woman. I think we can all agree, right? She's the one making the decisions in the wedding. So when you have that type of situation, what a guy would want is, how can I keep her close enough in an orbit where I receive validation and or sex, but not commit? And a lot of times, I'm not saying 100% this is the situation that you're going through.
He's literally saying he can't commit.
Yeah, that's exactly. But like, do you understand? You're putting in all this effort.
Yeah.
But do you understand how convenient it is? It's like you took the OF down and he still can't commit. Now, if it was a situation where it was like he would have never committed, but I'll bet you if we go through his past, like it might be a situation where he was never going to commit with anyone ever. And this just gives him a very easy excuse. You see this oftentimes with couples that are very toxic or passive aggressive, where they'll come up with things like they'll legitimately save things for later to use in order to eject from a social situation or start a fight. Or a lot of times someone in the couple will do something like, well, I can't believe you did this, and they storm out, but they stormed out because they had a date with someone else. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and they're doing that behind your back. A lot of times that'll happen and we won't know until after. There's a lot of dudes really pissed at me right now. There's a lot of future memes that are pissed at me right. Listen, I'll give the game away to both sides. And I've seen guys do this and I've seen girls do this, right? Because that's what we'll do. But people will get confused. They'll be like, no, but he said all these words and he did all these things and he validated me in so many different ways. That does not imply that he wants to be in a committed monogamous relationship. That is not what that implies. What it implies is that he wants the validation. Again, if you had a brother or a cousin, a male cousin, okay, family member, and he came to you and he was saying something effective, she keeps sending me like implied nudes, but whenever I ask her to come hang out with me, she never comes to hang out with me. What would you tell your cousin? You'd be like, she
just wants attention.
She wants attention. She's bullshitting. But in his mind, he's like, no, but she keeps complying by sending me semi-nude, whatever. So that means she likes me. Does that make sense? Do you see how it's confusing? Yeah. How one thing is like words, or in this case, photos, and the other thing is an action. Remember when I had Knight and Bishop, we did the debate, and he goes, Michael, how can you teach men to figure out whether or not women are genuinely sexually attracted to you? And I was like, and I couldn't figure out the question. I was like, why are you asking me this? He goes, how do you figure out if a woman really is genuinely sexually attracted to you? And I was like, yeah, because they have sex with you. That's why they do it. But when people, like, how do you figure out if a man really wants to get married to you? He asks you to marry him. That's how you do it. It's not from reading a book on love languages. People will make the difference from their actions. It's like the analogy I used with you last night when we were talking about people who love their country. Those men who stormed Normandy Beach in 44, to me, they didn't get emotional and they weren't histrionic. They showed their love for their country by being willing to die for it. You show your love for your country through actions. Through actions. Man, the world gets so much simpler when you just remove the words and all the chaff and all the distractions, and you just pay attention to people's actions. Everything becomes clear. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And so now we have this language that's developed. And again, this whole podcast is based around that book. Which of the two genders has more to lose in a pregnancy situation? The male or the female? Female. You guys understand why. Now, here's the thing. It's called the parental investment hypothesis. And I forgot, I think Professor Trivers was the one who came up with this. And the hypothesis is this, that whichever of the two genders has the larger sex cell, or whichever of the two genders has more of the parental investment, that will be the selective of the two genders, and the other gender will compete for that one. So in two gender species, like vertebrates, like dogs, cats, cows, whatever, humans, we see it in every case. It's true. And then there's certain groups of fish and seahorses where the males carry the eggs and the females compete for the males. So this is what's called a falsifiable hypothesis that's never been falsified. Does that make sense? So that's one of the reasons why. So women are more picky than men. So because of that, women are better in general at two things: reading facial expressions and being able to suss out hierarchies in groups of men. If I had a female friend, we walked into a room, one of my female friends would be like, hey, John is like, yeah, John's cheating on his wife with Sarah. It's like Sarah's in the room. I could tell they're cheating. Women are better at that than men. They just are, right? Because evolutionarily they needed to be. So men had to develop an adaptation to fool women's ability to do that, to garner access to more sex. What is that adaptation? Fake watch, rented Lambo, IG with weird stuff, showing off money, fake movie screens, buy the blue check mark. Do you guys understand?
Yeah.
Right? Fake Gucci belt. Or sometimes they'll actually show ostentatious displays of wealth, but they'll do that to attract a certain type of women. Where's the analogy to that? The peacock and the peahen in nature. The peahen has that big tail that all the females can see, but what does that do? If a predator comes around, it's going to fucking catch you. You have a big fucking tail. You can't run away quickly. Yeah. But what does it show? You know what the tail is? Throwing money, throwing ones in the air, bitch, at the club, making it rain. Making it rain is the tail. Do you guys understand?
Yeah.
That's the analogy for Homo sapiens. That's what it is. It's the Trembolone with the huge fucking veined up muscles. It's the Lamborghini. It's the Bugatti. That's the same thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or in some cases, it's the super handsome, tall, blue-eyed Australian, 6'3" Australian guy who's a male stripper. Whatever. There's all these different things that happen that cause women to become attracted. And some of them are what's called actual signs, and some of them are called false signs. There's certain signs that you can get, and the way that you know they're true is because of how much they cost. They're called costly signs. So those men who stormed Normandy, or men who have fought in U.S. military units together, when we get out, if I saw any of the guys from the 350th or any of the guys from the 99th Air Refueling Group, if I ever saw those guys, 19th Air Refueling Group, I would immediately trust them. Not even with a good reason, because we were in dangerous situations together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They signed up to join the U.S. military. And because they did that, that is such an expensive cost to fake that I actually trust them. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So think about what are the cheap costs. Cheap costs are things like rumors. Oh, I heard so-and-so so-and-so. Those are cheap. So that's why conspiracy theories, that's why a lot of times those conspiracy theories and rumors, they're made by anonymous posts because those are cheap.
Yeah.
The ones that are real are the ones where you put up your money. Does that make sense? It's like, I think Elon Musk, he wants to turn around Twitter because he thinks it was, run by liberals. So what did he do? He put $44 million into the deal. He put his money. You see how that's an expensive, costly acquisition, where the other one is the fake watch. Hey, girl, come. Dude, I knew this one guy. I shouldn't even be saying this. I'm going to get in trouble for this. This is what, do you guys know? I really shouldn't be saying this. I'm going to get in trouble with this. Listen. Do you guys know you can cancel plane tickets in 24 hours? You guys know that, right? Expedia, any place, right? This dude would go around and he'd be talking to a girl and he'd open up Expedia and he'd buy plane tickets for him and the girl to go to Saint-Tropez. Right, and then he'd do that to build comfort, sleep with the girl, and then cancel the tickets the next day. Of
course.
And the girl would see this again because that's not because in a short term.
Let me take you somewhere.
Correct. It was in the short. There's so many dudes who are so angry with me. Right, stop giving the game away, Michael. Stop it. But again, in the short term, what happens? Right, they see the costly tickets that go to Monaco. Right, they're $1,200, $1,500 in the short. And so what that does is it triggers this part in the female psyche that's supposed to read the facial expressions and try to find the cues. Again, the man who wants to be with you for a long time, do you know how you know? He's with you for a long time. The man who wants to be in a relationship with you, do you know how you know? He's in a relationship with you. The thing is, I just have so much experience with not just with myself, but like watching my grandparents who were together for 75 years and my parents who were together for 44 years. When people want to do a thing, they do the fucking thing. They don't talk about it. And this generation, fucking Tekashi 6ix9ine's generation, they just talk about it. They don't do. Sorry to go on a long diatribe here.
No,
but this is like a huge. Men and women would benefit so much from this because we live in a generation now where everything you can, especially with AI, you can make anything look like anything. You can make it look like you're anywhere. I was joking with a buddy of mine that I'll bet you there's an app right now. I don't even know if there's an app. Someone can test and put it in the chat. There's an app right now that can probably AI, augmented reality, put an AP watch on me. Put a Patek on me anytime I want, everywhere. Just put a Patek, a $298,000 Patek watch on me anywhere I go, and then just add it to all my photos. Does anybody say put six-pack abs? We already know there's apps that do that, right? So because there's so much fake signaling, the fake signals were created as an evolutionary adaptation for men to have more access to sex with women because they understood, whether or not men realize this, because they understood, these men understood on a short-term standpoint, that in order for me to get more access to these women, I have to convince them that I'm here for the long term or that I have access to more resources.